Captain Vexler stretched his forearms as he walked across the bridge of the Silent Talon. His purple skin gleamed under the soft blue lights that his species preferred. The ship moved through space like a ghost, invisible to any sensors that might be watching. This was what the Zephyrians did best. They were the eyes and ears of their mighty empire. "Captain," called out his sensor officer. "Crix, I'm picking up something strange on the long-range scanners." Vexlar's large black eyes turned toward the main screen. A small dot appeared, floating in the empty space between star systems. "What is it?" "Unknown vessel, sir. The computer doesn't recognize the design. It looks primitive." The captain laughed, a sound like wind chimes in his throat. "Primitive? In this sector? Impossible. We've mapped every species within 50 light-years. They're all either part of our empire or too weak to matter. The energy readings are strange, sir. Very crude fusion reactors, basic metal hull, no quantum shielding. The computer rates their technology as level 3 at best." Vexler's confidence grew. Level 3 meant they were barely capable of interplanetary travel. His ship was level 8 technology, advanced enough to defeat entire fleets of lesser vessels. Probably some lost colony ship from the Terran Republic. "I heard they lost contact with some of their outer settlements. Should we report this to command?" asked his tactical officer. "Not yet. First, let's see what they're carrying. Pirates have been using these empty sectors to hide stolen goods. Run a full tactical scan. I want to know everything about that ship, crew size, weapons, cargo, everything." The sensor officer hesitated. "Sir, a tactical scan is considered an act of aggression under galactic law. We should identify ourselves first." Vexlar waved a dismissive hand. "Against whom? Some primitive vessel that probably doesn't even know we exist? Our stealth systems are perfect. They'll never detect the scan. And even if they do, what can they do about it? Look at their technology level." The bridge crew nodded. This made sense. The Zephyrians had been doing this for thousands of years. Their stealth technology was so advanced that most species couldn't detect them even when they wanted to be found. Their sensors could peer through any defensive system ever built. "Begin the scan," ordered Vexlar. The Silent Talon's most powerful sensors came online. Invisible beams of energy reached across space toward the unknown vessel. The scanners were designed to penetrate any known defensive system and map every detail of a target ship. They could count the number of crew members and tell you what they had for breakfast. "Scan initiated, sir. Penetrating their hull now. Their shielding is laughably weak. I'm getting clear readings on—" "Wait, what is it?" "Sir, their internal structure is unusual. The hull is much thicker than normal. Multiple layers of different metals, and there are weapon ports everywhere, many more than a normal ship would need." Vexlar frowned. "How many crew members?" "Still scanning, sir. The internal layout is strange. Lots of small rooms connected by narrow corridors, very different from standard ship design. And sir, I'm reading massive power conduits, much larger than their reactors should need. Weapons? Many, sir. Far more than expected for a level 3 civilization. Kinetic cannons, energy weapons, something that looks like missile tubes. Lots of missile tubes. But the designs are crude, probably ineffective against our shielding." The captain relaxed. "So it was an armed merchant vessel, probably carrying valuable cargo and trying to look dangerous to scare off pirates. Complete the scan. I want a full inventory of their cargo holds." "Yes, sir. Increasing scan intensity to maximum." The tactical scanner sent out its strongest pulses. The energy beams struck the strange vessel like invisible hammers, mapping every wire, every bolt, every system aboard the ship. It was the kind of scan that could reveal state secrets and battle plans. "Scan complete, sir. Full data package ready for analysis." "Excellent. Now let's see what treasures these primitives are carrying." But as the crew began analyzing their data, none of them noticed the small change on their sensor display. The unknown vessel, which had been drifting slowly through space, suddenly stopped moving. Its power signature spiked dramatically. "Sir," called the sensor officer, his voice uncertain, "the target vessel has just powered up all its systems." "So?" "They probably detected something and are running a routine scan of the area. We're invisible to their primitive sensors. Sir, they've changed course. They're pointing directly at us." Vexlar felt a chill run down his spine. "Impossible. Our stealth systems are perfect. No level 3 civilization could detect us. Their weapon systems are coming online, sir. All of them." "What? That makes no sense. They can't see us, so why would they?" The captain's words died in his throat as he saw his tactical display. The unknown vessel wasn't just pointing at them, it was locked onto them. Perfect targeting data showed their exact position, speed, and heading. Sir, we're being painted by multiple targeting systems. 17 different sensor locks. 17? Vexler's voice cracked. How is that possible? Unknown, sir. But they have us locked solid. Our stealth systems aren't working. The captain's mind raced. This couldn't be happening. Zephyrian technology was thousands of years ahead of anything in this sector. Their stealth systems had never failed before. Are you certain about their technology level? Sir, I'm reading the same crude fusion reactors and basic metal hull. But their sensor systems... Sir, I don't understand their sensor systems. They're using technologies I've never seen before. Impossible. You must be making an error. Sir, incoming transmission from the unknown vessel. Vexlar's heart stopped beating for a moment. They're communicating with us? Yes, sir.
Audio only.
Shall I put it through? The captain nodded, unable to speak. A new voice filled the bridge. Harsh, alien, speaking in perfectly clear galactic standard. Unknown vessel, this is Commander Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Retribution. You have just conducted an illegal military scan of a sovereign Earth warship. You have 30 seconds to identify yourself and explain your hostile actions before we consider you an enemy combatant. The bridge fell silent. Vexlar stared at the communication panel as if it might explode. Earth warship, he whispered. But Earth is a restricted system. Humans aren't supposed to have warships, sir, his tactical officer said quietly. Their weapons are fully charged. Energy readings are significant. How significant? Sir, if these readings are correct, they have enough firepower to destroy a battlecruiser. Vexlar looked at the unknown vessel on his screen. It still looked primitive. Thick metal hull, crude design, no elegant curves or advanced materials. But now he could see the weapon ports clearly. Hundreds of them. The ship looked like a floating fortress designed by someone who expected to fight for their life. Sir, 20 seconds left, reported the communications officer. The captain realized he was shaking. In all his years of service, no one had ever detected his ship while cloaked. No one had ever dared to threaten a Zephyrian vessel. His species ruled this part of the galaxy. They were the dominant military power. But somehow, these primitive humans had found him, locked onto him, and were now giving him ultimatums like he was some common pirate. 10 seconds. Sir, Vexlar opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. What could he say? That he was sorry? That it was a mistake? That the mighty Zephyrian Empire had been caught spying like a common criminal? Time's up, came the human voice. You have chosen to remain hostile. Retribution is engaging. The last thing Vexlar saw before his world exploded into chaos was his tactical officer's terrified face. Sir, they're firing everything. Commander Sarah Chen was drinking coffee in her ready room when the alarm started screaming. The harsh red lights bathed everything in crimson as she rushed to the bridge of the UES Retribution. Her crew was already at their stations, faces focused and professional. Report, she barked as she settled into her command chair. Ma'am, we detected an active military scan 30 seconds ago, said Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station. High-intensity tactical sweep. Someone just violated our hull with enough energy to map our underwear. Sarah's jaw tightened. In her world, scanning someone's military vessel without permission was like pointing a gun at their head. It was an act of war. Source? Unknown vessel bearing 27 Mark IV. Range approximately 50,000 kilometers. They're running some kind of stealth system. But Athena cracked it the moment they lit us up. Athena was the ship's artificial intelligence, designed by paranoid humans who knew that in space, being detected first usually meant dying first. The AI's voice filled the bridge, calm and emotionless. Commander, I have analyzed the scanning pattern. This was a full military reconnaissance sweep designed to penetrate defensive systems and map internal ship structure. Classification: hostile intelligence gathering. Recommended response: immediate defensive action. Sarah looked at her tactical display. The unknown ship appeared as a red dot, with targeting solutions already calculated and locked. Her ship's weapons were automatically tracking the threat, waiting for her command. Ma'am, called out her tactical officer, the enemy vessel is still painted with our targeting systems. They're not moving to escape or defend themselves. Maybe they don't think we can see them, suggested Torres. Sarah almost smiled. The Retribution was built by humans who had spent centuries fighting other humans, the smartest, most paranoid, most dangerous opponents in the known universe. Every system on her ship was designed with one purpose: to find enemies before they found her, and to kill them before they could return the favor. Athena analyzed the bogey. "What are we dealing with?" "Scanning now, Commander. Enemy vessel appears to use advanced stealth technology, significantly beyond known galactic standards. However, their sensors betrayed their position when they conducted their scan. Hull composition suggests a reconnaissance vessel rather than a warship. Crew complement estimated at 40 to 60 individuals. Weapons, basic energy arrays, standard for galactic peacekeeping forces. No significant anti-ship capabilities detected." Sarah nodded. The enemy had made a classic mistake. They had assumed their technology made them invisible and invincible. They had probably never fought someone who shot back effectively. "Ma'am," Torres said, "I'm reading some strange energy signatures from their ship. The design is unlike anything in our databases. New species? Possibly. But ma'am, their scanning technology is impressive. They penetrated our hull sensors like they weren't even there." Sarah considered this. Humans had learned long ago that advanced technology meant nothing if you used it stupidly. The best sensors in the universe wouldn't help you if you revealed your position to someone with bigger guns. "Open a channel." "Channel open." "Ma'am?" Sarah's voice carried the authority of someone who had fought in 3 interplanetary wars and survived them all. "Unknown vessel, this is Commander Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Retribution. You have just conducted an illegal military scan of a sovereign Earth warship. You have 30 seconds to identify yourself and explain your hostile actions before we consider you an enemy combatant." She waited, watching the tactical display. The enemy ship wasn't moving. They weren't powering weapons or trying to escape. They were just sitting there like they couldn't believe what was happening. "Ma'am," her tactical officer reported, "they're not responding. No change in their position or status." 20 seconds, Sarah announced over the open channel. Human military doctrine was simple and brutal. If someone threatened you, you eliminated the threat as quickly and completely as possible. There were no rules about fair fights or giving enemies a chance to surrender. There were only survivors and casualties. "Ma'am," still no response. 10 seconds. Sarah had given them more time than regulations required. In human space, military vessels that conducted unauthorized tactical scans were destroyed immediately. The fact that she had warned them first was actually quite generous. "Time's up. You have chosen to remain hostile. Retribution is engaging. Weapons free," she ordered. "Fire for disabling effect. I want prisoners for interrogation." What happened next would have amazed any galactic military observer. The Retribution didn't fire 1 weapon or 2 weapons. It fired everything it had. Kinetic penetrators launched from magnetic railguns accelerating to significant fractions of light speed. Energy weapons fired in precisely coordinated patterns. Missile pods opened and released their deadly cargo. Point defense systems engaged to prevent any return fire. But this wasn't random destruction. Every shot was calculated by Athena to disable specific systems without destroying the ship entirely. The goal wasn't to kill everyone aboard. It was to stop them from fighting back while keeping them alive for questioning. "Direct hits across all target zones," reported the tactical officer. "Enemy vessel has lost main power, weapons systems, and propulsion. Hull integrity maintained. Life support appears stable. Time from weapons free to target neutralized. 4.7 seconds, ma'am." Sarah nodded approvingly. The Retribution had just disabled an advanced alien vessel in less than 5 seconds, using techniques developed in humanity's brutal civil wars. The enemy had never stood a chance. Athena, analysis of the engagement. "Commander, the enemy vessel offered no resistance and showed no awareness of our attack until weapons impact. Their defensive systems were not activated. Their crew appears to have been completely surprised by our ability to detect and engage them." "Interesting. Torres, what's their status now?" "Dead in space, ma'am. No power signatures except emergency life support. They're not going anywhere." Sarah studied the tactical display. The enemy ship was helpless, floating in space like a wounded animal. In a few moments it had gone from a threatening mystery to a prize for her intelligence officers to examine. "Ma'am," Torres said, "I'm detecting multiple small craft launching from the enemy vessel. Looks like escape pods. Let them go. We want the ship, not a massacre." "How many staying aboard?" Sensors show approximately 20 life signs still on the main vessel. Probably a skeleton crew trying to maintain life support. Sarah made her decision. Prepare a boarding party. I want a full intelligence sweep of that ship. Find out who they are, where they came from, and why they thought they could scan a human warship without consequences. Yes, ma'am. Should we contact Earth Command? Not yet. First, I want to know what we're dealing with. If this is first contact with a new species, I don't want to start an interstellar incident. But if they're hostile, she didn't need to finish the sentence. Her crew knew the drill. Humanity had learned long ago that in space you either dominated your enemies or they dominated you. There was no middle ground. Ma'am, Athena interrupted, I am detecting unusual quantum signatures from the disabled vessel. Their technology appears to be significantly more advanced than initially assessed. How advanced? Potentially beyond current human capabilities in several areas. However, their tactical doctrine appears to be extremely poor. Sarah almost smiled. Advanced technology was useless if you didn't know how to fight. And humans, unfortunately, were very good at fighting. Boarding party ready in 10 minutes, ma'am. Good. Let's go introduce ourselves to our new neighbors. The bridge of the Silent Talon had become a nightmare of sparking electronics and emergency lighting. Captain Vexlar pulled himself up from the floor, his purple blood dripping from a cut on his forehead. Around him, his crew struggled to understand what had just happened. Damage report, he shouted over the wailing alarms. Sir, his engineering officer called from her damaged console. Main power is offline. Backup fusion reactors are barely maintaining life support. All weapon systems are destroyed. Propulsion is completely gone. How? How? Vexlar couldn't understand it. One moment they had been scanning a primitive vessel. The next moment their advanced warship was floating dead in space. Sir, his tactical officer said, his voice shaking. I recorded the entire engagement. You need to see this. The main screen flickered to life, showing the last few moments of the battle. Vexlar watched in horror as the human ship fired not one or two weapons, but dozens of them simultaneously. Kinetic rounds, energy beams, and missiles had struck his ship with surgical precision. How many weapons did they fire? He whispered. 47 separate weapon systems, sir. All coordinated to hit us at exactly the same moment. The precision is impossible. Play it again, slower. They watched the replay in slow motion. The human ship had fired everything it had, but each weapon had targeted a specific system. The kinetic rounds had taken out their engines. The energy weapons had destroyed their power generators. The missiles had eliminated their weapon systems. They weren't trying to kill us, Vexlar realized. They were trying to capture us. Sir, that level of coordination requires computing power we've never seen. Their targeting computers calculated 47 different attack vectors in seconds and executed them perfectly. Vexlar sank into his command chair. How advanced are these humans? Sir, I don't understand their technology. Their ship looks primitive, but their weapons and sensors are beyond anything in our databases. And sir, their tactical doctrine, what about it? Sir, they fired first and asked questions later. The moment they detected our scan, they assumed we were hostile and responded with overwhelming force. That's not how civilized species conduct warfare. The captain nodded slowly. In galactic society, warfare was a careful dance of threats and negotiations. Ships would posture, demand surrender, negotiate terms. Actual fighting was rare and usually limited. The idea of immediately responding to a sensor scan with maximum firepower was barbaric. Sir, incoming transmission from the human vessel. Put it through. The same harsh voice filled the bridge. Disabled vessel, this is Commander Chen. We are preparing to board your ship. Any resistance will be met with lethal force. Acknowledge. Vexlar looked around his ruined bridge. Half his crew was injured. Their weapons were destroyed. Their engines were dead. This is Captain Vexlar of the Zephyrian vessel Silent Talon. We surrender. Understood. Prepare for boarding. Chen out. The communication ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. In the entire history of the Zephyrian Empire, no captain had ever been forced to surrender to a single enemy vessel. Sir, his sensor officer said quietly, I'm detecting a small craft launching from their ship. Boarding shuttle? How many humans? 12, sir. Standard boarding party size, Vexlar tried to think. 12 humans against his crew of 60. Even with his ship disabled, they still outnumbered the boarders 5-1. Maybe they could overpower them, take their shuttle, escape to tell the Empire what they had found. Sir, we should resist. We can't let these primitives capture Zephyrian citizens. And how do you suggest we do that? Our weapons are destroyed, hand weapons, sir. We still have our personal sidearms. And the humans don't know our ship's layout. Vexlar considered this. It was their duty to resist capture. And the humans had no way of knowing that Zephyrians were naturally stronger and faster than most galactic species. Maybe they could turn this around. All crew members, arm yourselves with hand weapons. We'll ambush the boarding party at the main airlock. 20 minutes later, 30 armed Zephyrians waited in the corridor outside their main airlock. Their energy pistols were charged and ready. Their plan was simple. The moment the humans entered their ship, they would overwhelm them with superior numbers and firepower. The airlock began to cycle. Vexlar gripped his weapon tighter. Soon, 12 overconfident humans would walk into a trap that would change this entire situation. The inner door opened, and hell came through. The humans didn't walk into the corridor. They didn't announce themselves or demand surrender. They came through that door like a natural disaster made of metal and fury. The first human through the door was covered head to toe in powered armor that made him look like a walking tank. His weapon, some kind of automatic rifle, began firing the instant he had a target. The energy bolts from Zephyrian pistols bounced harmlessly off his armor. Behind him came more humans, each one a heavily armed and armored warrior. They moved like a single organism, covering each other, coordinating their fire, advancing with the ruthless efficiency of a predator species. "Surrender now or die," shouted the lead human, his voice amplified by his armor's speakers. The Zephyrians tried to fight back, but it was hopeless. Their hand weapons couldn't penetrate human armor. Their superior numbers meant nothing in the narrow corridor where only a few could fight at once. And the humans fought like they had been doing this their entire lives. In less than 2 minutes, it was over. Half the Zephyrian crew was unconscious from non-lethal weapons. The other half had thrown down their arms and surrendered. Not a single human had been seriously injured. Vexlar found himself on his knees, hands secured behind his back, staring up at the human leader. The armored figure removed his helmet, revealing a scarred face and cold eyes. "I'm Sergeant Martinez," the human said. "You just learned why you don't mess with human ships. Your species just made a very big mistake." "We didn't know," Vexlar pleaded. "We didn't know humans were so advanced." Martinez laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Advanced? Kid, this is just standard equipment for a boarding party. You want to see advanced? Wait until you meet our Marines." The human turned to his team. "Secure the ship. I want a full intelligence sweep. Find their computer cores, their communication logs, everything. Command wants to know who these people are and how many of them there are." As the human spread through his ship with military precision, Vexlar realized the full scope of his mistake. They hadn't encountered some primitive species that got lucky. They had found a military power that operated on completely different principles. "Sergeant," he said desperately, "please, we meant no harm. We were just following orders." Martinez looked down at him. "Following orders to scan military vessels without permission? In human space, that's called espionage. And we take espionage very seriously. Human space? But this sector belongs to the Zephyrian Empire." "Not anymore," Martinez said simply. "Welcome to the new neighborhood." As Vexlar was dragged away to the human ship, one thought kept running through his mind. If this was how humans responded to a simple sensor scan, what would happen when the Empire sent a real military force to teach them a lesson? He had a terrible feeling that his species was about to find out why you should never pick a fight with someone who's better at fighting than you are. High Admiral Zexthul of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet stared at the report in disbelief. Around him, the emergency session of the High Command buzzed with worried voices. The most powerful military leaders in the sector had been called together to address what seemed impossible. "Read it again," he ordered his aide. "Sir, the Silent Talon was engaged and defeated by a single unknown vessel. Captain Vexlar and 30 crew members are confirmed captured. The ship itself has been taken as a prize by the enemy." "One ship," Zexthul said slowly. "One primitive vessel defeated our most advanced reconnaissance ship?" "According to the survivors who escaped in pods, yes, sir. The enemy vessel identified itself as human." "Human." The word tasted bitter in the Admiral's mouth. "But humans are restricted to their home system. The Galactic Council banned them from having military vessels after their civil wars. Apparently the ban was not effective, sir." Zexthul stood and walked to the great window overlooking the Imperial shipyards. Hundreds of vessels floated in perfect formation, the pride of Zephyrian engineering and military might. Each ship represented centuries of technological advancement and tactical development. Show me the sensor logs from the escape pods. The holographic display activated, showing the final moments of the silent Talon. Zexthul watched his mighty warship, a vessel, capable of defeating entire pirate fleets, reduced to a helpless wreck in seconds. Pause there, he commanded. Enhance the human vessel. The image zoomed in on the enemy ship. It looked crude and bulky, like something built by a species that had never heard of elegant design. But the weapons. There were so many weapons. How many guns does that thing have? He asked. Computer analysis suggests over 200 separate weapon systems, sir. Kinetic, energy, and missile weapons, all coordinated by what must be an extremely advanced targeting computer. 200 weapons on a single ship? That's excessive, sir. It gets worse. Intelligence analysis of their attack patterns suggests they weren't trying to destroy the Silent Talon. They were trying to capture it. Zexthul felt his blood turn cold. They disabled our ship on purpose? Yes, sir. Every weapon strike was precisely calculated to eliminate specific systems while preserving the hull and crew compartments. This level of surgical precision suggests combat experience against technologically similar opponents. But that's impossible. Humans are a primitive species. Their technology level is classified as minimal threat. His intelligence officer stepped forward nervously. Sir, we may need to revise that assessment. We've been monitoring galactic communication networks since the incident. Other species are reporting similar encounters. What do you mean? The Korthak Confederacy lost a patrol vessel 3 months ago. They blamed pirates, but the description matches human tactics. The Valdari Trade Union has had several merchant ships go missing near human territory. And, sir, the Altarian Republic is reporting that human vessels have been spotted deep in their space. Zexthul turned from the window. How many human ships are we talking about? Unknown, sir. But based on communication intercepts, possibly hundreds. They appear to be conducting systematic reconnaissance of the entire sector. Hundreds of warships? Where did they come from? Sir, I believe we've made a fundamental error in our assessment of human capabilities. We classified them as primitive based on their older technology, but we never considered that they might have developed different technological paths. The Admiral studied the tactical display again. Explain. Human ships appear to prioritize weapons and defensive systems over speed or elegance. They build their vessels like mobile fortresses. And, sir, their tactical doctrine is unlike anything we've seen. How so? They shoot first, sir. The moment they detect a potential threat, they respond with overwhelming force. They don't negotiate or posture or follow standard engagement protocols. They just attack. That's barbaric. Yes, sir. But it's also extremely effective. Zexthul called up files on human history. What he read made his hands shake. According to this, humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. Constant warfare, planet-wide conflicts involving billions of casualties. Yes, sir. They developed their military technology through necessity, not choice. Every weapon, every tactic, every strategy was tested in actual combat against other humans. And humans are as intelligent as we are, sir. But they spent their entire development period in a state of total war. They learned to fight from species that were just as smart and dangerous as they were. The implications hit Zexthul like a physical blow. The Zephyrian Empire had developed their military in an era of peace. They fought occasional skirmishes with pirates or rebellious colonies, but never faced an enemy as advanced and capable as themselves. Their weapons and tactics were designed for fighting inferior opponents, but humans had learned warfare against equals. They had spent millennia perfecting the art of killing other humans, beings just as intelligent, just as technologically capable, just as ruthless as themselves. Sir, his communications officer interrupted. Urgent message from the Galactic Council. Emergency session called for tomorrow. Subject: human military expansion. What are the other species saying? Panic, sir. Complete panic. The Moravians are demanding immediate military action against human space. The Talar Federation is recalling all ships to defensive positions. And, sir, the Altarian Republic is requesting alliance talks with the humans. Alliance talks? They believe that if humans can defeat our ships so easily, it's better to be on their side than against them. Zexthul sat heavily in his command chair. In one day, the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted dramatically. The Zephyrian Empire, which had dominated this sector for thousands of years, suddenly faced an opponent they didn't understand and couldn't predict. Sir, there's more. Intelligence reports suggest that the humans have been watching us for months. They know our ship movements, our patrol routes, our defensive positions. The Silent Talon incident wasn't random. They were waiting for us. They've been studying us? Yes, sir. While we ignored them as primitives, they were learning everything about our military capabilities. They know how we fight, how we think, how we organize our fleets. And we know nothing about them. Correct, sir. We don't know how many ships they have, where their bases are located, or what their intentions might be. We've been flying blind while they mapped our entire military structure. Zexthul stood and walked to the tactical display showing the sector map. Red dots marked confirmed human ship sightings. There were dozens of them scattered across territory that the Empire had considered secure. Sir, what are your orders? The Admiral stared at the map for a long moment. Every instinct told him to order an immediate attack, to crush these upstart humans before they became a real threat. But the logical part of his mind knew that was exactly the kind of thinking that had gotten the Silent Talon captured. No hostile actions against human vessels, he ordered finally. All ships are to avoid contact until we understand what we're dealing with. Sir, the War Council won't like that. The War Council can argue with the crew of the Silent Talon when they get back. If they get back, he turned to his staff. I want every piece of information about humans that exists. I want to know everything about their technology, their tactics, their culture, their history, everything. Yes, sir. And send a message to the Imperial Senate. Tell them that the situation in this sector has changed. We may be dealing with a military power that's more advanced than we initially believed. As his staff hurried to carry out his orders, Zexthul remained at the tactical display. The red dots seemed to mock him, representing an enemy he couldn't understand or predict. For the first time in his long military career, the High Admiral of the Zephyrian fleet was afraid. Ambassador Elizabeth Torres stood at the observation deck of the UES Concordia as it approached Galactic Council Station. Behind her ship, 23 other human vessels maintained perfect formation. Each one was built for war, their hulls bristling with weapons that had never been seen in Council space. Ma'am, her aide said quietly, the Council representatives are requesting we reduce our escort to 3 vessels maximum. Elizabeth smiled coldly. Tell them that these are the minimum security requirements for a human diplomatic mission. We take the safety of our ambassadors very seriously. Through the massive windows, she could see the Council Station, a beautiful structure of crystal and metal that had been the center of galactic diplomacy for over 1,000 years. Ships from dozens of species surrounded it, but she noticed they were keeping a respectful distance from the human fleet. Ma'am, incoming message from Fleet Admiral Chen aboard the Retribution. Put her through. The holographic image of Sarah Chen appeared, now wearing the stars of a fleet commander. Ambassador, all systems are green. Our electronic warfare suites have mapped every defensive system around the station. If anyone tries anything stupid, we can shut down their entire defensive grid in 30 seconds. Excellent. Any hostile movements from the local fleets? Negative. Most of them are hanging back at maximum sensor range. The Zephyrian fleet is maintaining position but showing no aggressive postures. I think our little demonstration 3 months ago convinced them to be more careful. Elizabeth nodded. The demonstration had been elegant in its simplicity. When the Zephyrian Empire had finally sent a battle fleet to investigate human activities, the human response had been swift and educational. Instead of fighting, the humans had simply shut down every electronic system on every ship in the fleet. For 6 hours, dozens of advanced warships had drifted helplessly while their crews tried to understand how their technology had been turned against them. The message was clear. Humans could destroy them whenever they wanted. They were choosing not to. Any word from Earth Command on our negotiating position? Full authority to establish whatever treaties you think are necessary. The President's exact words were, make sure they understand that we prefer peace, but we're really good at the alternative. Elizabeth laughed. President Martinez had a way with words. Understood. Maintain alert status, but don't do anything provocative. We're here to make friends, not enemies. Copy that. Good hunting, Ambassador. The communication ended, and Elizabeth turned to prepare for the most important diplomatic mission in human history. Through careful intelligence gathering and strategic demonstrations of power, humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy not as primitives, but as a military force that operated by different rules. Now came the hard part, convincing dozens of alien species that humans wanted to be partners, not conquerors. 2 hours later, Elizabeth walked into the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council. The chamber was enormous, designed to accommodate representatives from hundreds of different species. Today it was packed with beings who had come to see the mysterious humans for themselves. She took her place at the podium, her simple black uniform contrasting sharply with the elaborate robes and ceremonial armor worn by other ambassadors. The chamber fell silent as she began to speak. Honored representatives, I am Ambassador Elizabeth Torres of the United Earth Government. I come before you today to formally announce humanity's presence in galactic affairs and to propose new frameworks for cooperation and mutual benefit. A chorus of clicks, chirps, and electronic translations filled the air as species communicated among themselves. Elizabeth waited patiently for silence before continuing. I know many of you have questions about recent encounters with human vessels. Let me address those concerns directly. Yes, we have been conducting reconnaissance operations throughout this sector. Yes, we have defended ourselves when threatened. And yes, our military capabilities are more extensive than previous estimates suggested. The Zephyrian representative, High Admiral Zex Thul himself, stood slowly. Ambassador Torres, your ships have captured Zephyrian vessels and personnel. This is an act of war under galactic law. Elizabeth's response was calm but firm. Admiral, your vessels conducted illegal military scans of sovereign human ships. Under human law, that constitutes espionage and hostile action. We responded proportionally and with restraint. Your crews were treated well and will be returned unharmed as a gesture of goodwill. Proportionally? The Admiral's voice rose. You disabled an advanced warship in seconds. We used the minimum force necessary to end the threat. If we had wanted to destroy your ship, it would no longer exist. The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. Elizabeth let them process this information before continuing. Which brings me to the main purpose of this address. Humanity seeks peaceful coexistence with all galactic species. We have no territorial ambitions beyond our current borders. We do not seek to conquer or dominate anyone. The Moravian delegate, an insectoid creature with multiple arms, spoke up. If this is true, why do your ships carry such massive armaments? Elizabeth had been expecting this question. Because we learned long ago that the best way to avoid war is to be obviously capable of winning one. Our military strength exists to preserve peace, not to make war. And if we refuse to accept your presence in our space, asked the Talar representative, then you will be making a mistake, Elizabeth said simply. We are not asking for permission to exist. We are offering partnership. The choice is yours. She activated a holographic display showing star charts of the sector. Humanity controls 17 star systems and is prepared to expand that number significantly. We have the technology and resources to do this with or without your cooperation. But we believe cooperation serves everyone's interests better. The display changed to show trade routes, resource exchanges, and technological sharing agreements. We offer advanced medical technology, defensive systems, and economic partnerships. In return, we ask for recognition of our sovereignty and normal diplomatic relations. What guarantee do we have that you won't attack us? Demanded the Altarian delegate. Elizabeth smiled. The same guarantee you give each other, mutual benefit. War is expensive and destructive. Trade is profitable and beneficial. We prefer profit to destruction. But your military doctrine, the Zephyrian admiral began, is designed to end conflicts quickly and decisively. We don't believe in long, drawn-out wars with massive casualties. If forced to fight, we prefer to win immediately and then negotiate from a position of strength. Elizabeth paused, looking around the chamber at the diverse assembly of alien races. Ladies and gentlemen, humanity didn't choose to be good at warfare. We learned it through necessity. For thousands of years, we fought each other because we had no choice. Now we have a choice. We can use our abilities to protect ourselves and our allies, or we can use them to conquer and destroy. We choose protection. We choose cooperation. We choose peace. But make no mistake, if threatened, we will defend ourselves with the full capabilities at our disposal. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Finally, the Altarian delegate stood. Ambassador Torres, the Altarian Republic would like to discuss formal alliance negotiations. As would the Moravian Collective, added their representative. One by one, Species began expressing interest in diplomatic talks, trade agreements, and mutual defense pacts. The Zephyrian admiral was one of the last to speak. Ambassador, the Zephyrian Empire, requests clarification of human territorial claims and proposes establishment of formal boundaries to prevent future incidents. Elizabeth nodded graciously. We would be happy to discuss that, Admiral. I believe we can reach an understanding that serves both our people's interests. As the session concluded and delegates began approaching her with requests for private meetings, Elizabeth reflected on how much had changed. 3 months ago, humanity had been unknown and ignored. Now they were the dominant military power in the sector, and everyone wanted to be their friend. The transformation had been achieved not through conquest, but through demonstration. By showing that they could fight better than anyone else, humans had earned the right to choose not to fight at all. Ma'am, her aide whispered, the Korthak Confederacy is requesting immediate emergency talks. They're offering to share intelligence on pirate activities in exchange for protection from human anti-piracy patrols. Elizabeth smiled. Everyone wanted human protection, now that they understood what human military capabilities really meant. Schedule the meeting, and make sure Admiral Chen knows that her people's demonstration was very effective. Outside the station, the human fleet maintained its quiet vigil. 24 ships that could devastate entire fleets, crewed by warriors from a species that had learned warfare from the most dangerous opponents possible, themselves. The galaxy had a new order now. And for the first time in centuries, it was an order backed by beings who truly understood the cost of war and the value of peace. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.